Matt and Bob presents
My bad.
Nods to the Odd.
We're Mornings with Matt and Bob, and we're just counting down the moments. Just a couple minutes here. Chad Daniels should be in the room. Who I've told you before, even before he was coming in. I've just said it on the radio before, when people say, who are your favorite comics? He was always in my list. He's just absolutely incredible. Very smart guy, down to earth, and one of these guys who's built a career outside of the Hollywood system, and just fantastic. I'm assuming the majority of you out there are already aware of Chad, who he is, and his multiple specials. If not, you're in for a real treat to get turned on to him later this morning. Let's get into Not of the Odd. Let's break down some of the odd stories out there. A few people in the extreme right wing are mad at Kellogg's. They say that Fruit Loops is a woke cereal and that people should stop giving their money to Kellogg's and their woke cereal, Fruit Loops. Of course, Fruit Loops is a rainbow-colored cereal.
Right.
They see that as being suspicious anyway. It's kind of hard when you break it down and you go, oh, well, Fruit Loops has actually existed for over 50 years. They don't want to talk about that part. They're just like, no. It's all. They were just playing the long game, I think.
So the produce section, we just try to dye the fruits gray?
Yeah.
Or something?
I think what they should be upset about is somehow every single Fruit Loop tastes the exact same flavor. Shouldn't they be different?
They should. Chaya Raichik, who's the creator of Libs of TikTok, you might be familiar with. It's an account that's filled with joy and happiness. She weighed in and said that Kellogg's wants to indoctrinate your children with breakfast cereal. She's urging followers to stop giving them your money. End Wokeness, which is another account on Twitter. They've got 2 million followers. They shared photos of the Fruit Loop boxes. The boxes are promoting a tagline for a new digital library, and it says, Fruit Loops is now encouraging kids to go online and read our free library of woke propaganda, which is not exactly what it says. But they've decided that it's saying that every kid should be proud of themselves and be happy, and they don't like that. Come on in here, Chad. Sit down. Join in when you want to. Do we have head cuffs for Chad?
Do, right here.
Awesome. And then let's just get to one more, and then let's get out of here in a hurry and get to Chad.
Okay.
Sound good? There is a woman named Jung Yu-jung. It's a little repetitive. She's 23 years old. She loves true crime podcasts.
Who doesn't?
And what young lady out there doesn't love a true crime podcast? You know what I mean?
Murderers?
Young women love all the same thing. Mm-hmm. Glass of wine with their friends, a guy who will listen to the plans the first time, and a podcast about people being murdered. She's currently on trial. Actually, she's just been sentenced to life. She said she became fixated with the idea of trying out murder. And so she hired an English language teacher. She's in Korea. And she stabbed the woman to death in her home and asked why. She said, I wanted to try out murder. She says she does not think she's a murderer. She just wanted to see what it felt like. And now she knows.
Isn't manslaughter kind of trying out murder?
It's murder light.
Yeah. Well, she's murdered somebody. Anyway, I say congratulations to her. Speaking of podcasts, somebody in this room has a brand new podcast, and I want to talk to him about it. Chad Daniels, first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back.
Do you know for 23, I think I met you in 2000.
Probably.
And anytime I address you, I have to check in my head, is it Chad Daniel or Chad Daniels?
It's with
I
an
do
S.
that. I know
There's
it is.
two of us.
But every time I always am panicked, is it just Chad Daniel? Why is that?
I don't know.
Is there a Chad Daniel in the world?
Probably. And then there's probably a Chad Daniel son.
Yes,
I
there
would
is.
guarantee that.
And he waxes on and waxes off.
There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Hey, first of all, welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in to do a show when you're not even promoting anything in the city.
I'm promoting a ton of stuff. Oh, not in the city. I beg your pardon.
You
can
remember
leave that applause
Chewy?
going.
This is our good friend Sawyer Stull, Dr. Hot Dog. who
Howdy,
always
Sawyer.
talks to us about
Howdy.
Doctor,
And then we
pleasure.
have all of our friends are in here. We have interns. We have audiences one. Everybody, this
Hi.
is Chad.
Hi. I'm looking around the room and I'm seeing that we met before some of these people were alive.
We did meet before some of these people are alive.
Yes,
that is true.
that's true.
How does that feel? Feel good inside?
And it feels so old.
It does.
Feels pretty gross.
You are old, incredibly old.
I'm very old.
And really, life is over for you.
Done.
Your kids are now off to college, and you've
Yep.
done really one of the smartest moves that anyone could possibly do as an empty nester. You've gone and met a young hot lady.
Shacked up with a
And you've
hot chick.
shacked up with a young hot chick. This is what I want to talk to you about. You have a brand new podcast.
You notice how I'm saying hot chick and he keeps saying young hot chick? Feels like he's adding a word I don't like.
How old is she?
Doesn't matter. She's 34. She's a grown-up.
She is a grown-up.
She's a full grown-up.
She is. Who was a child when you became a grown-up.
But here's the thing that I
Here's
think
the
about.
thing, defensive Chad.
Here's the
thing, defensive Chad. What is it?
It's not like I babysat her. I didn't know her when she was a
That's
child.
true.
That would be gross.
That's true.
Yeah.
That would be gross. That would be gross.
Right? Even if you dated one of the Olsen twins at this point, you saw them when they were kids, and that's disgusting.
It is. You never saw her. You never met her.
I met this person as a fully formed human being adult. So
But
she goes, want to see a picture of me when I was younger? I don't.
Here's the thing that is creepy. If you're dating someone who is 30, you can
34.
You can go far enough back on her Facebook to find photos where it feels creepy.
And I won't ever.
I have. They're great. Hey, you're doing a podcast now with your 27-year-old girlfriend.
I have 2 podcasts.
You do.
One's
Now
called Mixed Reviews.
What you have? Okay, you have.
No. That's my special. Sorry.
Yeah.
One's called Middle of Somewhere.
Middle of Somewhere is the podcast you've had for some time, and we've talked about it on air, right? And it's fantastic. But you have a brand new one now that you are actually doing with a person that you're in love with.
Yeah, that's true. We bought a house, and we were sitting around on football Sunday, and we were just laughing about something, and we go, well, let's try this. Let's go.
Let's just record it.
I mean, we have all the stuff in the house anyways, from the OnlyFans. So why not just put it on a podcast instead?
Right. Here's what I love about the podcast. And you saw the comment, didn't you? As I tagged you in the comment, didn't I?
Yes. And that's when I texted you about doing the show.
Okay. Okay, the podcast is great. Just on face, it's great.
Thank you.
But I think the reason it's really great is the stuff that we can't control, because as comics we're always kind of controlling what we're doing. We've already said, hey, we don't work well with others. That's why what we've chosen to do for our entire life is to stand on stage alone. Yeah. And then if anyone in the audience speaks out, we call them C-bombs, right? Like it's already, there's a lot of stuff in there about how we're broken people we are.
Ask a comedian to play doubles tennis once and see how it goes. I'm not going to count on somebody else to win this thing.
I'm not. Which one of us is opening?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but what was great is I was watching you in it, and you've picked up a pillow off of the sofa.
Yeah.
But you're holding it in front of your body.
Fat buster.
You call it a fat buster. It is absolutely 100%. It is subconscious body language, because you're talking to someone who's asking you real questions, and I think that you feel vulnerable in a way that your conscious mind doesn't even know.
I need to hold something.
I need something in front of me to protect me from the questions that are coming from the person that I love, because it's actually a great podcast, and I think it's a great podcast for any dude to watch, because I'm getting to see you, and guys act differently when they're at home alone with their lady than they do when they're out with other dudes.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But I'm getting to see you act and make the kind of jokes you do when you're around home with her.
Yeah.
And that makes it doubly fun.
Well, thank you.
What's the name of it?
It is called Pretend Problems.
Why pretend?
Because I think a lot of times that couples will blow up over not a lot of stuff.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. And so this is the first time I've ever been in a relationship with communication or good communication.
Okay.
And she's real good at it. So I'll run downhill with my thoughts, and she'll go, you know what? I'm going to come back in 5 minutes. Why don't you just gather this stuff up, and then we can have the conversation. Because I'll be like, you know what? And then another thing, and remember this?
This
and
is
she's
where
like, I'm going to step out of the room for a second.
I'm going to come to your defense on something, because I'm teasing you about the fact that you've started dating this 21-year-old, right?
Right.
But the thing is, and where it's unfair when women roll their eyes at guys and go, oh, typical younger woman. She's younger only in years, but maturity-wise,
Light years ahead.
Killing
of you.
me. Absolutely destroying me.
Right.
Maturity.
She has a 50-year-old child around the house. You're not 50 yet, are you?
I'm not 50 yet. But I will say this. You know, in
Very quick with that, by the way. Very quick with that.
In a man's
44?
defense, 48. In a man's defense, remember trying to have an emotion when you were a kid?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Great luck.
Yeah.
Best of luck to you.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. Wuss.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you, embarrassed? Wussy. figure it out. And then you punch a wall, and everybody's like, okay,
Whoa.
there he is.
There he is.
There's the boy.
Yeah.
That's a guy I was trying to raise.
Why do you know why my father wanted to raise a child who would punch a wall? He wanted to teach me
How to fix
sheetrock.
drywall.
Yeah, and the fact
That's
that I
smart.
can patch.
That's smart.
He feels good about that. He's like, I've given you a skill you can utilize.
Yeah. Do you know why my dad wanted me to punch a wall? Me either. Dad, if you're listening, where are you? Call us, please.
It is. I've tried to have this conversation with my wife at times because she talks about, do you want your son to be like this? Like, no, nobody wants this.
Right.
But when you're raised, you grew up in Minnesota
Yeah.
or Midwest?
Yeah, Minnesota, yeah.
You play football growing up? Anything like that? Okay. So you'll get it. When I was raised, I would play sports, and I had all these coaches, and coaches would say to you, do you want to be number 2? Because number 2 is a loser. It's first loser, right?
Yeah.
The whole point, and they would line you up and they go, look at everybody on your team. One of you is going to be the star of this team. Is it going to be you? And it was part of motivating, right? But everything...
That's such horrible motivation.
But everything from a very young age,
Yeah.
everything that I was taught was you're in competition with all other men for all resources, and there's only number 1.
Right.
And then we wonder, well, why are so many men depressives, and do they drink too much, and that they bottle up their emotions, and then why do they kick dogs after a football loss? And it's because, well, not only you a loser, but your dog didn't help at all.
Dog looks like a football too sometimes.
Sometimes they do, the small, furry, uncomfortable ones, right? And that, I've been trying to explain to her, it's like that, I'm not trying to be an a-hole. In fact, I've tried my damnedest as I've grown up to get out of that. We talk about it on the show a lot. We talk a lot with dudes who work in the trades that call here, and we go, yeah, it's really hard to have those conversations even when you're trying to, because you don't want your son to have the same thing. But I'm also tied in between, like, I still also want my son to know, hey, look, is there any way you can hold the tears in until you get to a stall or something, because you can make yourself a mark?
I was also going to say that. Have you ever met guys that grow up being allowed to have feelings? They're the worst.
So annoying.
So there has to be a middle ground, but how do you find it?
Yes, I do know a therapist. Is that what you're asking?
I'm just saying.
There are some guys that went to the Taylor Swift concert. Yes, we know that they exist, right?
Yeah.
But do you feel uncomfortable if somebody in a room starts crying for any reason?
Not really.
No?
Uh-uh.
Oh, I do.
Oh, what's the reason they're crying that makes you uncomfortable? Any reason? As long as there's tears?
If somebody's crying because someone's died, I don't know what to do.
Have you ever
Yeah.
been to a funeral?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that has to be
Very
horrible.
uncomfortable.
That has to be horrible for you.
Yeah.
Everyone's crying.
To be all
because
horny for a
someone
dead
died.
body like
Yeah,
that?
No kidding. Oh, my God. No one told me it was going to be an open casket.
Can't shut the casket on those things, you know what I'm saying?
I would have worn some more restrictive pants.
That is the part that I don't like about myself. That I get, like, I try to fix crying really fast.
Like when you're crying?
No, I don't think I've ever. I don't think I have the ability.
Do you want a hug? Hey, look at me. It's not your fault.
I love that movie.
It's not your fault. Look at me. It's not your fault.
Do you know why that's not going to work on me?
Why?
I'm not that smart. I don't know math, so I can't. You're not going to make me cry, Robin Williams. Is this your way of telling me you're going to kill yourself? Because please don't, Chad. I feel like, oh, it's my job to help fix the situation somehow very quickly if someone starts crying. Like, what do I do?
Oh, no way. I don't cry it out. You know what I think? My first thought is, it's not me.
So you feel kind of good about it?
I didn't do this.
Today, I'm not the one crying.
So do you cry?
I can cry. Absolutely.
Do it.
I don't think on command.
You can't on command?
I don't think so.
That's why you're never going to make it in Hollywood.
Yeah,
There's no doubt.
Well, you puss.
There's no doubt.
Are you afraid to cry, little bitch? Is
That's
it?
what we talk about.
Is it because there's a lady in the room?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. So you'll cry in front of a lady?
Sure. I mean, it depends what's going on.
How do you think you got the 20-year-old?
Yeah.
You should. Well, I think we already used 20. You got to go to 18 now.
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
fair.
Is it weird for your daughter that you have a girlfriend that's younger than her?
Pretty weird. Yeah. Also, I want to be clear. That's not the case.
I like how you're fixing it too. You're like, oh, I need to fix that.
Because no one knows, right? Everyone's listening, and they go, "Oh
You know
my
that we-
God,
can
we
I-
don't know how old his daughter is."
Do you know what a great thing is? we've talked about your podcast. We've talked that you live with her. We haven't mentioned her name yet.
Sure, it's Kelsey Cook.
We should probably get that. And
It's
she's
her
a
name, and
very,
she's a
very funny comic.
Very funny stand-up comedian.
Is that, to switch gears, is it weird when you're dating a comic? Is that weird?
This is the first time I've dated a comic.
Yeah, I would never do it.
And so I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it's pretty great because when we're off work, right? No one's going to a day job, so we can hang out. And, when you have questions about... I'm horrible at social media because, as we discussed, I'm 160.
Right.
And I don't know how to do the thing. And she's like, well, you got to do this and you got to do it. And she knows all that stuff. And then I can help her with the business side of it because I've been in it longer. So it actually is working out pretty well.
The business side being everyone in it is gross.
Yeah.
And any guy who says, let's write together is trying to bang you.
I don't say that. Listen, if she wants to write with somebody, go for it.
Hey, I don't own the person.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably start crying, but...
She ever made you cry playing foosball?
No, but man, it's so frustrating. She's so good.
At foosball?
She's a professional foosball player.
Wait, okay.
Her
hang
mom
on.
is in the International Foosball Hall of Fame.
This isn't a real...
I promise you.
This is not a thing that's happening right now.
So here's how I met her. I met her on her web series called Wrists of Fury that is about... She would bring comedians in, and then they would talk all this, crap because she's just this little petite woman, and then she destroys everybody she plays.
Wrists of Fury.
Wrists of Fury.
And with a name like that, you would think most comics who spend a lot of time on the road would be fantastic at it.
Yeah.
And she just destroys them. So you met her because she asked you to come on the podcast.
Yes.
Did you start flirting with her right then?
No. So
it was a while.
First time
later?
I had ever met her, right? We even say that on the show. And then we both got afterwards a bunch of messages. Yeah, this is the thing right here. She's playing Thick Noon. They got the cleavage cam.
That is smart to have the cleavage cam. That keeps people around.
Yeah.
I love, this is great. I can't play foosball. It's the one bar, as much of a drunk as I am, I should be better at it. Darts, pool, vomiting into a trash can are all things I can do.
Absolutely.
But foosball is difficult.
Yeah, so I met her on this, and then we got a bunch of messages like, hey, are you guys dating? And she was married, and I was in a long-term happy relationship. This is true.
Oh,
and
hang on. That deserves a... Oh, I hit the wrong one.
We didn't talk for... oh, wow, that is different.
That's what I wanted
That's
for sure.
That's a different
Very
tone
different.
in here all of a sudden. So we didn't talk for about a year after that, and then she got divorced, found out I was single. She listens to Middle of Somewhere. That's my other podcast. I know I brought it up, but I want to say the right name this time. And then she called me, and she was like, hey, I heard you were single. Did you get any of these messages?
She called you?
Yeah, I know.
Nice.
I know. It's hard to believe. But then she said, did you get these messages after we were on the show together? And I said, yeah, I got a bunch asking if we were dating and blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, so did I. Why don't we see if the chemistry is real? And so then we started dating. And now that we started the podcast, most of the comments on the YouTube channel for a podcast is they are, I knew this was going to happen. As soon as I saw you guys playing foosball, I mean, you were so flirty.
Now we can do this.
Thank you.
See, I just got him in reverse order.
You were so flirty, and he was so nervous, and all this stuff. So, I mean, we tried it, and it worked, clearly.
That's amazing. Yeah, and you like it.
I like what?
This relationship.
I do. Yeah, I've never been a real fan of... I don't talk publicly about...
I know you don't, but your body language...
But this is great.
Your body language when I see you now is different.
A little more shoulders back.
I think you're happier right now.
I am.
See, this is guys talking about real stuff.
Yeah.
My wife gets upset with me because I can go out with a dude, and she's like, well, is he seeing anybody? What's going on in his life? I was like, I have no earthly idea.
Right.
And she's like, what do you talk about? And I was like, guy stuff, which is to talk about nothing.
Yeah.
If you talk about something, feelings might come up. So you have to avoid that by just talking about nothing, right? And that's what we did. Make small talk. And but I see a different you right now, which is good.
What do you guys think?
Matt's gonna cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
Matt's gonna cry.
No, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not like Chad. I'm not a big piece of ass. I'm a strong man who can operate a chainsaw. Last thing I want to ask you about, and then we're just
Well,
going to
let
BS.
me ask you this: when you're on the highway and you see someone coming to pass you, do you let it happen, or do you speed up?
I always first of all, I'm rarely in the left-hand lane unless I need to be passing somebody.
Okay.
And I am quite fine with somebody passing me. And when they pass me, I don't do this BS thing where you then speed up to kind of keep that person's speed all of a sudden who's passing you.
Well, who's the bitch now?
Got him.
Wow, that hurt. I really, because I thought you were going to say, oh, you're like an empty man, and it's why you feel like you need to race somebody. But you've proven me to be just weak.
No. I was just trying to grab at something. Because I did not think that was going to be your answer.
Really? So in knowing me all these years, you thought that I would not let somebody...
I think on paper, you just told me you cannot cry. And
Yeah.
to me...
I tried to.
That translates to the person that goes, you're not getting around me.
No, that's not who I am.
Well, good for you.
That's not who I am. And I wouldn't mind... I wouldn't mind crying. I wouldn't mind crying.
Well, we can do it.
Yeah, I think I've teared up sometimes. It's always weird too. It's like I've had a couple drinks and there's a weird commercial on or something. You know? Oh, you know what? Hey, I'll be honest with you. Here's the thing that always gets me. And it's where I get misty-eyed. I don't get cry, but I get misty-eyed. Every single time there's one of those videos that comes out where there's a girl in high school and they ask her to come out in front of the whole high school, and they start talking to her about, and then say something about, oh, it's Veterans Day, and we all want to, because her dad is there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, a box opens up, and her dad is there, and she bursts into tears.
Yeah.
Every single time, it gets me. Every single time. When kids cry, and I think it's because I want so badly for my children to be excited to see me one time in life. I think it's what it is. And I've considered going overseas. Maybe I need to go fight in a war. So is there any time that my children would ever be excited when I walk through the door?
I remember when I was married, I had this dog that when I would get home would pee all over the rug. And my wife would be like, oh, here we go again, this damn dog. I'm like, you know how nice it is for someone to be excited that I'm home? I'll let this dog piss all over the whole house.
It's incredible. When you walked in, Chewy took a big old deuce over there just for you.
I believe it.
Just for excitement. Excitement's sake.
Yeah, I had a couple nights of bourbon. And then my daughter was, we were looking at colleges, and I started thinking about that, becoming an empty nester.
Right.
And then there's this commercial on TV where the dad would take gum wrappers, and he would make the swans
paper cranes
or
or whatever,
cranes, the paper cranes. And then he would always leave them for her at the breakfast table or whatever, and it showed this montage of when she was little, all these cranes. So they're moving her to college. They get to the dorm, and she pulls this shoebox out, and she fumbles, and the top comes off, and it's all these cranes. And good luck.
Yeah,
dude,
really? Just opened right up?
T-shirt contest in my own house, showing the boobs. It was insane. Just yeah, it was brutal.
I've always wanted to be one of those dads that leaves a little note or something for their kids. I have woken up late every single day for 15 years, and I leave them nothing. I leave them nothing but the thin scent of gray flannel throughout the house. Is that cologne still made? That's the cologne my dad wore. It always smelled like gray flannel in the house. Jeffrey Bean's gray flannel for Christmas.
Jeffrey
at
with
Bell's.
a G?
With a G, exactly.
Of course it was.
Beene.
Yeah. So why don't you leave a note before you go to bed?
All right, we've been talking about Chad Daniels. It's been really fun. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a really good time. I want to talk to you about specials and everything else that's coming up, okay?
Yep.
Sound good?
Yeah.
And he's going nowhere. We're hanging. And we'll roll everybody else back in here. Now everybody's gotten to know you. Let's just hang out and BS for a little bit.
I would love that.
Yeah. You're just rolling in town. You're performing down in San Antonio.
San Antonio, Friday, Saturday.